Good morning. I'd like to call this County Commission meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please silence all your cell phones if you have them. Take a moment of silent prayer.
And let's remember to give Dennis Van Paris, our late treasurer, a happy birthday today.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Janice.
Yes.
Thank you. I'll begin the roll call this morning with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Jeff Culbertson's here. Commissioner Doug Smith.
Here.
Commissioner Mike Stephen.
Here.
Commissioner Vicki Cobb.
Here.
All present and accounted for. Public comment. Don't have anybody signed up. Anybody in the room have public comment? Seeing none. Do you have anything this morning, Mr. Lothar?
I don't, other than there's a sales tax presentation this evening, I think, at the library.
Oh, yeah.
5:30.
Oh, that's right. The Chamber of Commerce
Yeah.
is putting on to explain different types of tax, like income tax, sales tax versus property tax,
Right.
et cetera. It's at the library, I think, at 5:30. Is that when it starts tonight? Yeah.
The last meeting was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
Especially the speaker from the commission was really good.
Yeah,
He's a terrible
I
teacher,
thought it was
though, I
pretty
heard.
sharp.
Well, hopefully you'll get a good turnout and people.
Yeah.
will-
That's what I'm
Yeah.
hoping.
Yeah.
Administrative business, that's what I actually was
Yeah, I was
asking
just
you.
saying that's,
You have anything? Okay.
I have something.
And commissioners have it?
Yeah. Do we have an update at all for the one litigation that we have with High Prairie? Is there any kind of an update?
Well, Commissioners, the county has filed a motion to dismiss that case, and to the extent that it's pending litigation, that's as far as I can go in describing it to you. That motion was filed Monday.
Thank you.
So I just want to follow up on that. Without going into the litigation end of it, there's allegations being made on social media that the county's responsible for providing fire protection and that we're abdicating our responsibility by not acting. Could you kind of walk through who, under the current letter of understanding or agreement, who's responsible for fire protection in High Prairie Township?
Well, Commissioner Stephen, all due respect, your question is the crux of the matter of the litigation. The county's position has been sent out to the courts in the motion that was recently filed. And unfortunately, that's about as far as I can go on that. Allegations are just simply that, allegations.
But, I mean, without touching on the lawsuit, it is the responsibility of the fire district to provide fire protection.
Fire district, or in the absence of a fire district, townships have the authority to effect fire protection.
Correct.
So that's
Not
kind
the
of what I
county.
wanted to get to.
Not the county commission.
That's right.
Right.
I know where you're going, Mike. You're
Yep.
right.
Okay.
I do have one.
Yes, sir.
one other
Of course.
question. Was the letter to the Union Pacific Railroad on the blocked crossings, was that mailed?
Yes,
Okay.
last week.
Probably be delivered on a train.
Express train.
So for administrative business, two things I wanted to bring up were the Veterans Day Parade. Are we going to enter that? We need to do that today if we're going to have a...
Yep.
Probably should.
Jeff, you going to drive?
I can drive.
That fancy
You guys
car?
wanna ride in it?
Yeah, I want to ride on that hit seat.
Okay, so I'll tell them to sign us up. The other thing was, last year we sent out an informational letter about LAVTR to our citizens along with their tax statement because we take advantage of that free mail.
Right,
Basically,
right.
we got to mail the tax statements out anyway, so we could stick something informational in there if the treasurer is getting ready to set that up if we wanted to put something in there this year. So I didn't know if you guys had an idea of
Same thing we put in before.
Yeah, I don't think we-
Remind everybody, I mean, that was spot on.
LAVTR.
I agree.
Yeah, because it's gone and
And
we're
just-
still collecting the money.
Okay, I'll
Yeah.
rewrite that and I'll add in there that now we need a new bill presented to not only, my suggestion is going to be to not only enforce it, but to enhance it, because that's really the answer.
I think the
to
letter
that.
also should, I like that little diagram that they use that shows where your property tax money is going to. So it shows the county
Pie
portion,
chart.
the
Yeah,
city
people see that
portion,
better. I
the
agree,
school
Mike.
portion.
Yep, yep.
Yeah. So
The
that,
county's portion kind of small to see, though.
Yeah, we could put half a page on that
Yeah.
pie chart for taxes, and then half a page for the LED.
The only thing you got to be careful with on that is, and Jeff, you did a great job, is a lot of times people see a big long letter or see a lot of
kinda
things. They
keep it
won't-
short.
They won't read it. So I think, Mike, what you're saying about the pie, and Jeff, how you've been breaking that down, I think absolutely we should send that out.
When it's colorful.
Bullet
Yes.
points.
So it's different for each school. Then.
Well, and
Right.
that's the thing.
There's an average.
I think that's where in the cities it's a little easier because they're dealing with just that taxing area.
Right.
Whereas with the county, we have multiple school districts, multiple townships. I think there's over 100 taxing entities in total. So when you try to set up that pie chart, it's a little more difficult at the county level because what
You almost need two.
You can make it a little generic, though.
Culbertson is going to be way different than what I have mailed to you.
Yeah.
As far as what
Well, you can put an asterisk at the bottom and say that
Generic
depending on
type.
school
and
districts.
inside the city versus outside the city.
Yeah, I was saying
So-
two different pie charts, one for city people and one for rural people,
And there would still be
It's still off.
with different school
So that-
districts
that
and
we've
different
looked at in the
towns.
past. It is a challenge if you,
But I think the thing is,
depending on how accurate you want it to be.
Yeah.
the thing is to get that point out, though, whether even
And
if we have to
splitting
do
it
it.
up when we mail those letters, you have to determine who's in the city limits and who's not.
Yeah.
So
We don't want to do that much.
that's why it's been a challenge. That's why we haven't done that in the past.
I think we could put one in there, just a general and saying,
I do too.
County's
say
average.
most people. We,
Or just
we could say
show
that.
the county's portion. And
Because it
the
gives
rest
them a
of it.
really good idea of what's going on, because they think
Well, it's just people think still after 5 years that they still
County
believe
gets all of
that
it.
that county controls
gets all of it.
and that we control the appraiser across the hall. We just tell them how much money we want.
Yeah.
We even had a legislator say that.
Yes, we did,
More than one.
More than one.
which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
Their ignorance is just
I know we have
incredible.
people reach out to us about controlling other taxing entities too on what they're levying, like we have some authority over that.
Yeah.
okay. So I'll put together half a page
Great.
for LEBTR and half a page with two pie charts, one for city people and one for rural people, and we'll put on there that this is not for everybody, but this is general.
It's a good idea.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be
Yeah.
nice if
Because townships will be different, and
Yeah.
fire
School
districts,
districts are
school
different.
districts.
Yeah,
will be
there's a
different.
lot of them, yeah.
Yeah.
I think our Board of County Commissioners do a better job of understanding how things work than our
That's the problem. right
legislators
there.
do. They just do what they're told, and they don't read their own information. They don't study their own information. They just go with what leadership tells them, where we've actually taken the time to educate ourselves over the years of exactly how everything works.
Well, I've said it before, and some people don't like hearing it. Some of these elections, when you get past the county level, can be bought by money. You throw enough money at something, and you throw enough lies at something, or you mislead people, which is usually the key one, and people run with this, then we see people that get elected who don't have a clue, have never been on a school board, have never been on a city council, or even a township, and they get elected and they walk in there, and it
Well,
just
the-
doesn't work.
Well, the system was supposed to be the local government has the most control.
It's just
and
the
further out you get, state
We
and
have
federal
flipped
has
it.
less, and it's the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And somehow that's got to get fixed.
I'm
Maybe one
sure
day.
that after this election, I'm sure that they will take all of this into account and that they will do the right thing on property taxes.
We'll see.
What?
Mike, is that sarcasm?
Okay.
I think I'm going to be sick.
I'm going to be optimistic.
I hope you're right, Mike.
We
I hope you're
just
right.
elected officials.
Moving on to
Yeah,
consent
Jeff, get
agenda.
control. Get control, Chairman.
Mr. Chair, I move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Consent agenda passes.
We'll put a wager on that one after the meeting.
Formal board actions. Consider motion to
We'll get you
appoint
some rose-colored
voting
glasses.
delegate for the Kansas Association of Counties Conference. First of all, who's going?
Mike and Mike.
To
Yeah.
Mike?
I move that Mike Smith be our delegate.
Second.
I think you're getting voluntold, man.
Well, I've been volunteer. That's fine.
I
Well,
get that
Vicky's
right.
parting ways.
So we have a consensus that Mike Smith will be our voting delegate at the Kansas Association of Counties.
We need to vote.
Oh, we got to make, okay. So we have a motion and a second, right? Motion, second. Begin
Second.
voting with
Are you
our
going to
new
vote for
delegate.
Aye.
Aye.
That's where you put that, Joe.
Aye.
Thank you,
Motion
Mike.
passes. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you for volunteering.
Consider a motion to approve the
Never said a
bid
word.
from New Frontier Material for 2024-25 for trap rock in the amount of $56
Morning, Bill.
per ton. Morning, Bill.
Morning, Commissioners.
Before we start on that, just to on this last item, can you also make then Commissioner Stevens
The alternate.
Oh, okay. Motion
Move to make Commissioner Mike Stevens the alternate.
Second.
and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Abstain.
Aye.
I may be ill.
Motion carried. Now,
You're welcome.
morning, Bill.
Morning, Commissioners. Today, for your consideration, we do have a single bid for the 2024-2025 Trap Rock. We are a little disappointed. There are two suppliers in the region. The second supplier did not provide pricing. Do not know if that's just because of availability or just the current marketplace demand for this increasing for this material. Both are located in Missouri. Both do bring the material in on the railroad, and so therefore it's hard to necessarily state why I did contact the second supplier, and they weren't very forthcoming with their reasoning, other than that they weren't able to provide a bid this year. So New Frontier Materials did provide us the price quote, and they are the supplier that we used last year. And the material went up from $52.50 a ton delivered to the Tonganoxie Quarry to $56 a ton delivered to the Tonganoxie Quarry for this calendar year. This is a significant cost savings in comparison to the haydite that we had been using in the previous years. That material, we did truck it in ourselves, and it was costing considerably more.
We're okay with
Especially
how
if you
it's
would
performing.
It's performing very well. We did switch the type of oil we are using from haydite to this new trap rock material. It has more polymers in it, and it seems to adhere very well to the road surface. It is a heavier rock and considerably denser than haydite, which is a man-made lava rock. So we're hopeful that it will stick better when we do snow removal. Snow removal is usually the issue with haydite. It kind of crushes it out and peels it off. I'm thinking that there's a good possibility that the trap rock might really burn up some snowplow blades, or the
Not if the wheels are adjusted right.
Yeah, if the wheels are adjusted right and everything's set. If you get to scraping some high points, it's not the actual blade, but it could burn off some of the stuff.
Okay.
Well, I move that we approve the bid from New Frontier Materials for the 2024-25 year for trap rock for $56 a ton delivered to the quarry.
Second. Motion and a second. Any further discussion? I'm going to add, this is why you can't remain revenue neutral.
Yeah.
Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Well, you can.
Motion
You
carried.
remain revenue neutral, but we wouldn't have to bid this rock then.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You wouldn't need it.
Thanks, Bill.
Next up, consider a motion that the proposed final plat as outlined in case DV 24-113 is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulations. Morning, folks.
Case DEV 24-113 is the final plat for A&R Rolling Meadows South. This request is to plat the property at 00000 Stillwell Road into 9 lots. There is an exception that the Planning Commission did approve for lot depth to lot width on, I believe it's lot 2 of the subdivision plat. The Planning Commission did consider this at their last meeting, and they recommended approval to this body on a vote of 9-0. If you have any questions, please let us know.
Any questions for staff from the board?
Not really.
I don't have any.
This is, okay. I guess it's my area. Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve case DEV 24-113 is compliant with the county zoning and subdivision regulation, and move that the proposed final plat be conditionally approved and accepted by this board, subject to the conditions set forth in the staff report, and is adopted by the Planning Commission, with the exception.
Second?
Have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 Motion carries. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, guys.
Next up, presentations and discussion items. Quarterly reports, human resources. Morning, Mike.
Morning.
This last quarter was a very busy one for HR, but it's super simple. We was mostly open enrollment and safety related. So I did put our turnover numbers on here, and I'm excited to say our head count is the highest it's been, and our turnover is the lowest it's been since we started to track these metrics in January of 23. Can't say that I actually have a lot of data as to why that is, other than all of the departments are working hard to retain employees, make good hiring decisions. We've been partnering together. So I do see those numbers. We're down to a 4.3% attrition this last quarter, so it's awesome. Hopefully we'll keep headed in that way. Over open enrollment, I put the numbers on there of how many people enrolled in our medical, dental, and vision, and our new wellness incentive program has been very well received. We already have more than the 27. We've had a few more enrolled this week that have met the criteria to receive that discount, and anticipating quite a few more after we have the biometric screening at the health department in November. They're waiting on those points to be able to earn their discount. So.
Drop in. I just asked Jamie out at the health department how many people have enrolled so far, and we're about 200. I think 199 was the number as of yesterday. So we still have room to grow. Hopefully employees understand the value of that. That one, they can use it for this incentive program, especially if they're on our health insurance. Two, it's free. The information is not shared with us. The aggregate is shared as to how many people participate, but the individual data is not shared with the employer. It's protected information. It's something that they could share with their primary care physician as if the employee wanted to. But it's super important that people take advantage of it. This commission has time and again voted to approve it as no cost to the employee. Every year we identify things with employees that need to be followed up with their doctor. Some are emergency type situations, and others are just normal lifestyle type things. But it's important. I encourage all the employees to take advantage of it and to take it. We don't know how long it will be around because it is not cheap, but right now it is free to the employee. So just wanted to throw that out there. They still have a week to go to get signed up for the November 11th, 12th, and 13th, I think, are the days that it is. No, that's not right.
That's
second, third, and fourth.
Whatever that first week of
I
November.
signed up early. I think I go on election
I was
day.
thinking we were just talking about Veterans Day, so I had that in my mind. But it's
Okay. So did we decide, was this going to be offered to retirees who's on our health insurance?
anybody who's on our health insurance.
Okay. And then what was the criteria for the wellness incentive?
There's a list of items on the form that they can receive points for. One, the visits had to be within 12 months of the date of submission. An annual physical from your doctor, men's annual physical, women's dental exams, vision exams, mostly preventative care, mammograms, colonoscopies, those kind of things. And that biometric screening helps with those points. They were able to get some points for that. We've seen a handful of employees submit paperwork and let us know that they haven't been to the doctor in over 10 years, and this is, an option, that this has been enough motive for them to get a discount. And so hopefully we'll see some people take advantage of that.
And it's
That was the
$50
purpose
a
of it.
month? $50 a month discount?
For employee only, and if their spouse completes all of the points as well, they can receive up to $100 a month premium discount.
That should be an incentive.
That really
Absolutely.
is. I agree.
So, question for you on this turnover
Yes.
in the different quarters. It looks good. Have you compared that with how neighboring counties' turnovers are in government Is everybody tracking lower like this, or is this just
I
particular?
don't know the answer to that, Commissioner. I know last quarter I did check with them, and we were right on track. We were all experiencing the same high levels of turnover. Whether they've seen, that lower number this last quarter, I don't know, but I can find that out.
And then the second question is, if that's with the government, but with like private employers, are they also seeing a reduction, like just in general, in turnover?
I can definitely look at
Yeah.
our numbers and see.
I'm
where
just
we're at in
wondering
that
if it
area.
reflects what's going on in the economy.
Right. I still see help wanted signs everywhere, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
there's still
Well,
jobs
note
out
that
there.
our average tenure has dropped since we started tracking this. It's dropped every quarter.
It has. That is true.
Our employees, even though our turnover may be slowing down, the length of time that people have been with us is also dropping.
We're seeing the retirees, of course, make that number. They have a lot of years, and so when they leave,
I can ask
that
Keely
same
Snyder to run that report for you too, Workforce Partnership. She can run that report, and I'll get that run
great.
for you and send it to you guys.
Oh, thank you, Vicki.
Yeah.
Let's see. We did send out the total compensation statements to every employee for the first time this year. So those were done at open enrollment time. And then for safety metrics, we this last quarter had 17 medically treated injuries, 22 non-medical reports, and we have seen an increase in slip trips and sprains and strains. And the safety committee is working with our department heads to dive into those root causes, what caused them, is there anything that we can do to help prevent those. We have seen an increase in our injuries this last quarter, and a lot of them are strains. And then it's actually the new quarter that just started, but Safety Days was just completed, and that was a wonderful success. So thank you to everyone who came out and participated. We had lots of vendors and employees had a great time, and some prizes were handed out, and it was a really good. The theme this year was just safety every day, how we walk in our homes and our work, and how to incorporate safety thoughts into everything we do. So this quarter will be end of year already. I can't believe it. 2025 is around the corner. So my team will be working on end of year documents and W-2s, address changes, anything that needs to be done for our end of year.
Any questions from
No, good job.
Great report, Monica.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Good numbers.
Thank you
I
very
like that.
much.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Next up, Council on Aging.
Morning, Connie.
Good morning, Commissioners. I think I added to the 10-year. I had my 4-year anniversary just this week, so it's hard to believe that it's been 4 years, but it's been 4 fun ones. Things are going well with the Council on Aging. Just a couple of highlights we'll point out. Last year, for the first time ever, we surpassed 100,000 meals that we'll deliver. We're on track to deliver about 111,000 meals this year with the numbers. That reflects about almost a 10% increase from last year. So we keep cranking those out. Transportation, we saw 76 new riders just in quarter 3, so folks are really taking advantage of transportation, and that is going well. We provided nearly 10,000 trips in quarter 3. Volunteerism continues to be at an all-time high. We couldn't do what we do with Meals on Wheels without our volunteers. Yep. We have about 134 active volunteers, and I give you this number every time. That saved just in quarter 3 about $73,000, and for the year just over $350,000 so far in what our volunteers are able to help us do. So we're not paying an additional staff member, especially or several staff, to deliver meals and get those out to everyone. We're tracking 112% of our expected revenue has already been completed. Something crazy happened when we raised the price for Meals on Wheels. We got about $17,000 in unsolicited donations from the community, individuals who were just saying, let me help to make sure that folks who aren't able to pay for their meals have a meal. So that increased the amount of revenue that we were collecting in those donations. It's just amazing in this community to see, and I'm calling it generational generosity. Folks who are taking care of their parents, who took care of their grandparents, and things like that on Meals on Wheels, and it really is an amazing thing to see in this community.
Was that just organic, or was there people that tried to organize?
Completely unsolicited. And people came to the office to hand me a check. People mailed them in and said, and there a little note that says, "I just want to help."
That's awesome.
Kinds of things. So yeah, we really get to see that bright side of the community at the Council on Aging, and do appreciate that support. Every penny of that money goes into Meals on Wheels and supports and pays for those meals for folks who aren't able to pay.
The timing of the Cushing building and this all coming together couldn't have been better, because it allows that 100. I don't know if people really realize what 110,000 is when you really think about what has to happen to get those out the door. That's just amazing, Connie.
Yeah, thank you. And with that, we continue to see growth just in every program that we have. We used to, what my benchmark was about, we saw 75 people a week, I think, when we were at our Broadway building at the first year I was here. We're seeing over 250 people a week at the Council on Aging, just in our leisure and learning. We've started some new partnerships with K-State Extension. They're doing nutrition classes for us. A new partnership with the Alzheimer's Association. They're going to do a 5-point series on caregivers, empowering caregivers. And so we've started offering some activities in Tonganoxie at the library. K-State did a class on how to use your air fryer. And so we had 40 people in Tonganoxie attend that, and 40 people at the Council on Aging attend that same class.
I'm still learning how to use that air fryer.
Yeah, it's
I've got it. It's pretty neat when it works right.
Yeah, come on over. We'll teach you how.
Okay.
And then just some really interesting things. We had a lady walk into the Council on Aging and ask if she could start a Parkinson's disease support group. She's dealing with that with her husband, and so that is one of our most well-attended support groups, and it just kind of organically started, and there's a need for it in the community, and we can always find a space for them. So 71 new participants just in quarter 3, which is really great. So in that second section down there, I show you just additional funding that we've raised just in Q3. One of the other things that's kind of an unexpected treat is our gift shop. We put that gift shop in, and everything in there is made by folks who participate in activities, and it's all donated. We sell it for a suggested donation. This quarter alone, about $2,400 was raised. It raises almost $10,000 a year, and it all goes back to Meals on Wheels and to support transportation. So we are having a half-price sale right now if there's anything that you need.
Put that out there.
Before it becomes a Christmas shop on November 1st.
Okay.
So we have partnerships with about 28 area businesses and individuals and nonprofits that help. We added this quarter the Alzheimer's Association, Walgreens, Kansas Talking Books. Our newsletters are all available as talking books. And then with Greater Goods Charities, that's where we get our pet food. We just came back with a pallet a couple days ago from Greater Goods Charity of dog food that we spent $82 on. We used to spend about $700 in grant funds every other month. And so we got food that will last us 6 months for $82. And again, that's all grant funded and donation funded, but a really great partnership for us to be able to help folks.
Can you talk about the pedicures for the puppies?
Yeah. Quarterly, we partner with Bad to the Bone Grooming, and they donate their time and come out and do nail clips. We see a lot of big dogs on that day, and we charge a suggested donation of $10 for that nail trim. And Bad to the Bone lets us keep that money, and we raised $400 this last time, $800 the time before. But when you're getting a pallet of food for $82, that money goes a long way. So really great community, unexpected community partnership, and they've been fantastic. And that's what I have.
Any questions for Connie?
No, I'm just very creative on some of the things. Like, we talked to some of the other organizations about how to raise money to help themselves, and I think they could learn from some of the pages of
People
this.
will give.
And I'll give a little bit of a shout out to Commissioner Bowder, who has shared her talents with the
Nancy, okay.
participants
Yes.
at
oh,
the
we
Council
did.
on Aging. So, and I think that's what, we have another elected official who gives and
Yep.
donates her time and things to
Yep.
charitable and
Yes, and those are
Council on
always
Aging
well
centers.
attended. Lots of acrylic. She did acrylic and watercolor and mixed media paintings. Yeah, she's.
I saw those pictures. Yeah, cool.
So I think, I was just thinking about, we were talking about, people were thinking about their taxes. It says Leavenworth County in there. Leavenworth County. I was thinking about, when they think about Council on Aging, Leavenworth County, that's something really good we do.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people contribute to Council on Aging because when you give to like a national organization or somebody bigger, you don't really see where your money goes. But when you give money to Council on Aging, you can see it.
It's a good point, Joe.
Feel it,
That's a
touch
good
it.
point.
Yeah, it's a
And
good point,
it
Joe.
helps your local
Give local, you know
people
where
you
it's
know.
going.
Yeah, and you see it, and people you know get
Yep,
help from
I
it.
agree, Joe.
And we have one of the best in the state, as far as I
think
know.
so.
Yep.
I think so.
Well, from what I've been told.
We might be biased, but I think so.
No, I don't think
We're
you're. I
the
think
best in
Director
the
is the
state.
bomb.
no, Connie.
Very good.
Since we brought you on, I'm just going to toot your horn. You won't do it. Since we brought you on, something like that, just amazing things have happened. So you're not allowed to retire.
That
You're
was
not
one of my
allowed
other
to
collaborative
leave.
efforts
Yeah.
in hiring
I
with
appreciate that.
Yeah.
Mr. Lothry. Was
We have a great
Very
time
funny.
and do good things, I think.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, another time when you've been here, you've kind of said how many people that we provide the meals to. If they didn't have those meals, they wouldn't have a meal. Do we have statistics on that, or do you have an estimate?
Yeah, it sits right about 40% if that is the only meal they get.
Yep.
Well, what I
or
noticed about
unable to pay.
what I noticed about going and doing that on the days we rode along with them was it's not so much about the meal they're getting as it is it allows those people to stay in their home longer when they get older than they probably could have because you got somebody checking on them every day.
Who
Eyes
were you
on
with?
them.
Who did you go with?
George.
Yeah, Georgia too.
I think Georgia took everybody.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she takes everything.
Oh, she takes everybody.
It's her
And she
favorite
knows
week of the
everybody.
year.
Yeah.
She knows
I'm just
everybody.
impressed at how Georgia is she's so good at doing that, and especially how much she likes cats.
Well, she's watching.
Yeah, she told me about
She's
that,
hearing
Mike. She told me about that.
To go back to the 40% comment, you heard in the first of this report that Connie reported that they delivered 110,000 meals, or they're on track to deliver 110,000. So 40% of those meals, those people wouldn't have got anything. So 40,000 meals that people wouldn't have been.
Big number.
and they're nutritional. I mean,
Yeah, good stuff.
And we're very excited. Our benefits on November 2nd, we've been sold out for weeks, so we're tickled that so many folks will support that as well, and we'll have a good time and
Good.
raise some money for a good cause.
So this is to me, this is an example of an outside agency where we are providing
Raises-
direct social services that help people.
And they raise
And that's
they raise extra money other than just coming in here and asking for it. And what other outside agency does it?
we have a lot of
They're
them that
not
do that.
technically outside agency. We don't want Connie to think she's not part of the county.
Quit.
She is part of the
It
county.
But
is. It's really not an
they are
outside
an internal
agency.
agency that gets a lot of their funding through charitable gifts, through fundraising, and through grants that they pursue.
I'd say
So
they
that if not for that, the county
more
would have
than
to
we
pick
give
up
them.
100%.
they get
of that
donated
cost.
more than what we do.
And, we probably wouldn't be able to afford to do it.
Right.
And Connie, one other thing too. Thanks for inviting me again. I get to be a judge at the next Thursday at the Halloween contest thing. That really is pretty neat. Some of these folks what they do. I always enjoy that, so I appreciate the invite.
So how are you going to dress up?
I'm going to dress up as a quiet one, Mike Steven.
That would be scary.
But then you'll have to
There's a
shave.
purple witch's hat in the desk over there.
Thank you very much, Connie.
Thanks, Connie.
On to planning and zoning.
Morning, John.
Morning, John.
going to be difficult to follow, Connie, but I'll try to wrap it up quickly for you.
All right.
As you can tell from the report, if you've read it, that we've had a considerable amount of growth in the last quarter. If you compare that to quarter 3 of 2023,
Hey, John.
if you compare the numbers that I've given you to quarter number 3, which you can find on the very last sheet, you'll see around 20 to 30% growth in pretty much every category, with the exception of platting. But you'll see that's made up for in rezoning. Now, typically rezoning is the first step in the development process, so you'll see a lot of rezones happen, and then 6 to 10 months later, you'll see the platting follow, which all end up in building permits. The key component there, we had 67 building permits as it stands today. I think we're at 73, 14 ADUs and around 118 accessory building permits. We've had our regulatory issues that we've gotten passed in quarter 3. Those are finally done. Our code series is ready for adoption. We anticipate that at the beginning of the year. Our revenue generation is at 92% of our anticipated number already at the end of quarter 3, which is a substantial increase from last year. We have an elevated element of rezonings and pretty much every development category, with the exception of platting, but we anticipate platting will be elevated come the first quarter of next year. We are participating in a lot of MARC committees. That the last committee that we were part of is the MARC Technical Review Committee, which in essence helps fund the next 5 years in transportation funding. So we've been active in that over the last 6 months. And with that, I would entertain any questions that you might have.
People are moving to the county. I like seeing those numbers. That's impressive. So
most of those are an indicator, at least in my opinion, of a healthy housing market.
Yeah.
Substantially better.
Of these new single-family homes, what percentage of them are in different portions of the county? Do we know that?
Yeah, we actually have a map of each building permit that's been issued over each year over the last 6 years.
I was just wondering how much of the new construction is going on in the south part of the county.
Most of the hot spot appears to be west of Basor, a little west and north of Basor, predominantly where it's at. And then you've got a few right around the outsides of Basor, and yes, Tonganoxie has a few as well.
Do we have any data on what would be more qualified as more affordable housing versus?
Well, we have construction valuation that you'll see in the next quarter, and we could certainly program that. But affordable housing is not traditionally a component of a rural market.
I just wondered if you had any.
Yeah.
No, those are
with the development that's happening in that corridor.
In this corridor, it's predominantly single family with larger square footages. When you get into affordable housing, it's going to be smaller lots, higher densities. Traditionally, in cities, are right on the edge of a city. I don't have that information, but I could get it for you if you wanted me to.
Tonganoxie has a new subdivision that's considered affordable housing, but it's still up around 200,000.
Right, but that's a lot of a reduction compared to some of the other valuations of the homes that are going in more of the rural areas. I was just curious.
Affordable housing is a bit of a sliding scale, so if you go to the national average, it's going to be substantially different than the number that you have, and it's really relative to each community and each market that you're operating in.
Do you see the new Panasonic plant down in DeSoto and Hill's Pet Nutrition and some of the suppliers that are coming in there to Tonganoxie and some of the other potential growth continuing to drive our housing market up?
Actually, we haven't seen a huge impact from a housing standpoint yet. We anticipate that we will, but we haven't seen a huge marker from that yet. Most of that growth, again, is being generated in that western and northern portion of Basor, between Basor and Lansing. So we do anticipate that's coming. We just haven't seen a huge pop yet.
Okay. Are there any additional kind of changes or modifications to our regulations that we need to do to anticipate that?
Well, again, we'll review those every year, and we do have a list working for 2025. I think you made substantial improvement in 2024. We'll bring you some recommendations in 2025 that would impact that.
And what kind of examples of sort of some of those changes might be?
Well, a few plating changes, some things to streamline the process. Obviously, a new code adoption to 2012 versus the 26 that we have right now, 2006. Just a number of things like that. Some technical elements and a few of the plating processes will change in a minor level that will streamline the process. So you don't spend as much time in review and approval. It shortens up that time frame.
Anybody else have anything for John?
I don't know. Thank you, John.
Thank you, John.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're either growing or you're dying, so
That's it.
you should be happy we're growing.
Good point. That concludes all of our quarterly reports. We want to do presentations for the commissioners or go to executive session for.
David, you need 30?
You need to do your presentations first, because I don't think it's going to start
Yeah.
until 10.
Your executive session will start at 10
okay.
a.m.
Okay, well,
All right.
And
So
I would
we'll have a
suggest you
little
set aside 30 minutes.
break. Okay. So we got to wait till 10 o'clock.
You're going to
Mike,
process?
yeah.
Yeah, I've got a couple of, Jeff, you've already mentioned Veterans Day Parade. Lansing Days, last week was a big success. They've changed the outline a little bit. We had a lot of folks turn out, a perfect day. And just like Connie was speaking on, really enjoy next Thursday, I think next Wednesday, doing one of the judges for the Halloween contest. Some of those folks are quite creative. That's all I have, Chairman.
Okay. I had a Leavenworth City meeting last night. Saw Ed again. And then was mentioned earlier, the chamber is putting on a different types of taxes presentation at the library tonight at 5:30. I think Mr. Lothar is going to be talking. A couple of people from the city of Lansing and Leavenworth, administrators, I think.
Mr. Lawfrey's going to be talking.
And I'm talking to. So
Hang him on down.
Now anybody will listen.
we're
we
going to.
appreciate it.
I'm going to go now.
We really do appreciate it.
Yeah, we do.
I think the goal is we're going to try to explain that a lot of people don't understand what the difference types of taxes there are, like income tax versus sales tax versus property tax, et cetera. So we're hoping to break it down so they can see, there's different kinds of tax and who gets it from where and who gets what,
Yeah,
all of that. So we'll see how that goes.
we can preach it.
None of the local legislatures are invited to speak.
They were invited, but
None of them signed up to speak.
yeah. Not sure they understand how that works, so it probably wouldn't help.
Is
That's-
it pre-legislative breakfast? We still have that in December.
That's typically when we've done it.
Mhm.
Obviously we have to wait until after the election cycle to see who our representatives may be.
Right.
And we'll schedule a
Okay.
local legislative breakfast and invite all of our local legislators.
Yeah, I think it's very important.
I agree,
Hopefully
Doug.
it'll be, well, no, you guys are going the first part of December, right? To Wichita,
Yeah, I think it's in the early part of it.
early part of December.
Yeah.
It's a good time to have a breakfast and just sit
Right,
down.
right, because you're going to find out what the KAC votes to
Yep.
approve, what they're going to be lobbying for. And I mean, one of these years, if we keep hammering on these property tax, maybe, just maybe, something will happen.
I'm hoping.
But,
We just can't let it die. That's the key.
well, something's going to die, but it may not be the taxes. Everybody
I
trying
don't
to pay.
think the voters are going to die
I hope not.
because their taxes are going to go up, up, up
You got to keep it in front of them,
with the
too.
current system.
Well, I'm just saying, we need to probably start working on what this board would like to, our local legislatures to think about. Get that out there before leadership gets in their papers.
Yep.
I mean, that used to be a really productive breakfast. I mean, that was
Well, I
used to be
agree,
a
yeah.
very productive discussion when I first got into this.
Yeah.
And it just seemed like it's, it's not listening to what the locals want to have to say about it.
That's why I said earlier it's backwards. The local government is supposed to have the most control, and it's the opposite.
Well, the
They
home
ignored
rule
us
thing
last year's
was pretty important at one time.
lunch.
because
A
they
breakfast.
know more of what's going on.
Got their mind made up already.
Commissioner Culberson and I spoke to the KAC Legislative Committee about the document they're going to adopt at the meeting, and one of the key things we brought up, I believe we brought up, there might have been
Four or
the fourth
five.
thing, but I know we brought up mandates from the state.
Unfunded state
Unfunded
mandates.
mandates. We brought up the LAVTR restoration, and we brought up the property tax cap. Those are the three things we brought up. And I know the last meeting I attended of that group, and it'll be voted on at the meeting, their number one thing is mandates. They made that a very important issue that is going to be the KAC's, one of their main issues is these state mandates that are unfunded on local governments, and it costs taxpayers. I mean, they passed this down, and it's a direct cost to taxpayers. So they are going to be making an issue of that. They also changed their policy to allow for supporting a cap, and they also did not act, I do not believe, on the LAVTR. So I think there's a lot of people that think kind of giving up on that right now, but we'll see.
So could we do?
That's what their intent was, is for us, everybody to give up on it. That's unfortunate,
Right.
too.
No, we need to keep
Of course.
on. Yeah, because like I said, the money's still being collected. So
Right.
It's still going to Topeka. We're just not getting it back. And
they're
I'm saying
using
they're
it.
never going to give it back, so they're still going to collect it, but what's the money? So on the unfunded mandates, it should be retroactive, all the unfunded mandates they passed.
Well, they just are putting a priority on working towards that.
Right.
Not even with their $6 billion in excess money could they afford that.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying.
And a lot of people
there's-
don't realize that Missouri has already passed. I think it's called the Hancock Amendment.
Yep, they did.
To do away with state unfunded mandates.
Mhm.
I think they said it was unconstitutional. So,
Well, it is.
yep, and I don't know how the Missouri Constitution could be that much different than Kansas.
Well, anyways, I don't have anything.
Okay. Commissioner Stephen, you have anything?
Well, on Saturday, my wife and I were at the
Lansing?
Lansing
Fall Festival.
That was
table,
neat.
and we got to speak to a lot of people coming through that were new voters, and we were just visiting with them about how government works and how, in fact, my wife, she was handing out, well, this person is going to be your county commissioner, and what your county commissioner does is da 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 da. This person is going to be your state senator, and your state senator represents this area, and this is what they do, and this is what your representative, this is who's your representative, because they were coming from different areas. And we just talked about how there's a lot of educating that needs to be done.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
because the new voters that are coming in, they like, what does a county commissioner do, and what does and they don't realize how important it really is. And so, yeah, I was encouraged. There was a lot of people at that fall festival. It was fun.
Yeah.
I've been encouraged by the line of people coming down here to vote early.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's been a ton. You're right. Glad we did that parking.
We're
lot
over
there.
1,000,
I think they had almost 2,400.
24 yeah.
2,400
Yeah.
people have
There's-
already voted here in
Early
Lumberton
voting
County.
is
That
really
was
taking
just
off.
through Friday. I'm
Yeah,
sure
yeah.
It's amazing.
Well, yeah, today's
It's
Wednesday,
awesome.
yeah.
Probably more than that. Quite a bit.
36.
I heard on the news 17 million people have already voted across the country.
I heard that too.
It's gonna be finally a good turnout. Hopefully.
So,
Okay.
Well, I did the Workforce Partnership board meeting yesterday, and after the election, that's one of the other things that needs to be taken. One of the committees that we have to have a CEO representative on the Workforce Partnership Board. So that's something after the election that you guys need to get together and decide
Yeah.
who would like to do that. And then I did the Adult Community Corrections Board, which I'm the city representative for, but from when that happened. But Jamie had a good report, and we're doing well in our adult corrections. We're
She does a
really
good job.
improving. We're doing a great job.
Yep.
So I think that's something to be proud of. And then after this meeting, I'll be heading to the Transit Authority meeting
Busy.
today.
Speaking of, after January, I think you were talking about want to remain on the
Well,
transit?
I'm still have another year, but I would like to after that, because it's a 2 4-year terms, and it really takes, and then you can't be reappointed after that. But it
So
is
we don't have to address that for a year.
Yeah, but the learning curve is
what's the issue.
incredible.
That's the issue.
Especially if it's all going
And
on
with
in
everything that's
Kansas
going
City
on,
area.
well, we have
Yeah.
the FIFA that's coming up, and then they have the transit development the star bonds, and to be educated on all of that. There is a lot that goes into that board. So.
Yep.
And it's very time consuming. It takes up as much time for the transit authority as I have to put in for the county commission. Honestly, it's wow.
Your meetings are a lot longer than ours.
Yes, the meetings, I celebrate if a meeting is over by 5 p.m. and we start at noon.
But we don't have to address that for
And
a year.
that's just for that, yeah. And then
No,
the
that's
finance
it,
committee
yeah.
meeting every month is
See, the other ones
3
we have to worry
hours.
about
So.
after the election.
Okay. That's, I didn't know if we had to do that.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So we're ready. The gentleman showed up.
Okay.
All right, so, Mr. Chairman, I move that the board recess for a closed executive meeting for discussion involving the legal interest of the county as justified by KSA 75-4319B2 for consultation with legal counsel for the board, which would be deemed privileged in the attorney-client relationship, and that the board resume open session at 10:25 in the meeting room of the board. And present in the executive meeting will be Commissioners Jeff Culverson, Vicki Cause, Mike Smith, Doug Smith, and Mike Stevens, Senior County Counselor Dave Van Perry's, Misty Brown, Deputy County Counselor, and County Administrator Mark Lockery, and others as determined later.
Second.
Motion and a second. Begin voting with Commissioner Mike Smith.
Aye.
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 We are temporarily adjourned.
Let the record show the board has returned to regular session at 10:25. No decisions were made, and the subject was limited to legal interest of the county.
We have any other business?
Just, we didn't talk about this letter that Bill had, I'm sure it was Bill that crafted for the minimum maintenance.
Oh,
road.
yeah.
It was,
Yeah, you didn't-
it was on the consent agenda.
No, I know, but I mean, nobody had any questions on that? I mean, I thought
I didn't. I thought
it was
we
spot
talked
on, but
about
I think it needs to be, everybody needs to be reminded.
Yep.
So,
I agree.
I thought it was a good letter.
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Motion and a second.
Aye.
Voting Mike Smith.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned.
Good meeting, folks.
Only, not very many people. That letter's going. Not very many people.
I know that, but the ones that are
Well, I
going
can tell you
to
that
it are going to
we did an entire
Oh, yeah.
search on Spencer. That was who we picked as our